Part 68. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 671. Chapter 671 I love you so much, I love you so much. Jun Chennai has been closely watched by the Jun family. If Yu Lingfeng Mao rashly made a move to make him recover, it would be a fantasy to them. It would be strange if they were not frightened. So, Yu Lingfeng felt that now was not the time to take action. Xia Ying nodded, he understood what Yu Lingfeng meant. Do you care about him? Yu Lingfeng moved his throat and stared at Xia Ying's lowered eyelashes. When Jun Chennai was injured, she was obviously very excited and rushed over from China immediately. And when she just saw Jun Chennai, Xia Ying also felt sad. Xia Ying raised her head and met Yu Lingfeng's gaze, and quickly explained, No, Yu Lingfeng, Jun Chennai and I have been sitting at the same table for 3 years. To me, he is like an inseparable person in my life, just like my friends, don't think too much about it. After Xia Ying finished speaking, she looked at Yu Lingfeng sincerely, wanting him to believe her. Yu Lingfeng kissed Xia Ying on the forehead. It's very late. You have military training tomorrow, so I'll take you back first. Good. Xia Ying nodded. Xia Ying followed Yu Lingfeng, thinking about something with a stern expression. She always felt that Yu Lingfeng seemed very insecure, and Yu Lingfeng always seemed to think that she would fall in love with someone else. Why does he always have such worries, and why doesn't he believe her feelings for him? Xia Ying thought gloomily and didn't speak a word along the way. Yu Lingfeng sent Xia Ying downstairs to the dormitory, which was already closed. But at this point, Xia Ying can't guarantee whether everyone in the dormitory is asleep. If she and Yu Lingfeng suddenly appeared, would they be frightened? Yu Lingfeng, let's go home, go back to your home. Xia Ying held Yu Lingfeng's arm and looked up at him. Back at the castle, Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng were lying on the bed. Xia Ying hugged Yu Lingfeng tightly and never let go. Although she used to like to sleep with him in her arms, today, Yu Lingfeng clearly felt that Xia Ying seemed to be extra dependent on him. While sleeping in the middle of the night, Yu Lingfeng moved slightly, which seemed to disturb Xia Ying. In a daze, Xia Ying rubbed her little face against Yu Lingfeng's arm and murmured, Yu Lingfeng, I love you so much, I love you so much. At the end of Xia Ying's words, only a weak stream of air sprayed on Yu Lingfeng's arm, making Yu Lingfeng's heart soften. Xia Ying told him that she liked him several times, but this was the first time she said she loved him. Yu Lingfeng turned sideways and hugged Xia Ying in his arms, resting his chin on Xia Ying's head. Xia Ying's light milky fragrance lingered around Yu Lingfeng. I love you more. Yu Lingfeng whispered, with a hint of melancholy in his lowered eyebrows. The next morning, Xia Ying was still in the dormitory when she woke up. Tanguo and Yeziaxun were frightened when they saw Xia Ying. Xia Ying, when did you come back last night? Why don't I know? Tanguo nodded in agreement. Yes, I don't know either. Well, I came back very late. You were all asleep at that time, and I moved very gently, so I didn't disturb you. Xia Ying said. Oh. Tanguo did not think deeply about it, but continued, Senior Su Ji also went out yesterday, and it seems she has never come back. After Tanguo finished speaking, he tilted his head and went over to confirm that he probably hadn't come back. Su Ji, where has she gone? Xia Ying looked back at Su Ji's bed. I don't know, she didn't say. Tanguo curled his lips. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 672. Chapter 672 50 Push UPS are easy. Never mind, she's always been a strange person. Xia Ying stopped worrying about this issue and turned around to pick up her military training uniform and prepare to change for military training. After packing everything up, Xia Ying and the others finished their meal and hurried to the playground to participate in military training. During the counting, the instructor noticed that someone was missing, so he asked sharply, "Who is not here?" Report to the instructor that Su Ji has not arrived. Xia Ying was just about to answer the call when a boy answered neatly. Su Ji, a girl who is so eye-catching, will naturally be spotted at a glance as long as she does not appear. Report. At this moment, a clear female voice sounded. Su Ji ran towards the crowd and stood up straight. His eyes were bright but unfocused, looking ahead indifferently. 5 minutes late, 50 push UPS. The crowd suddenly took a breath of cold air. The instructor was too cruel. Su Ji, a girl with thin arms and legs, could do 50 push UPS, not to mention her, even those strong boys. However, there was no emotion on Su Ji's face. Instead, she leaned down on the ground and did a standard push-up position. The instructor was counting and watching, and the students were also watching anxiously. However, to their surprise, Su Ji did not show any signs of fatigue during the whole process. 50 push UPS seemed easy to her. She finished it quickly and stood up neatly, breathing without any disturbance. Everyone was stunned. After looking at each other, they looked at Su Ji with shock. Oh my God! Does this girl want to be so fierce? He looks thin and frail, but his physical strength is so good. I did 50 push UPS without even taking a breath. It was simply terrifying. Return to the team. The instructor said seriously and stared at Su Ji for a long time. Even he was surprised that he remembered this special girl. He originally said 50 push UPS, but he only regarded it as a punishment. He didn't intend for her to actually finish it. He planned to teach her not to be late again when she really couldn't hold on. As a result, it turned out to be very easy for people. This girl looks so tender, but she actually hides such strong physical strength. The morning's training passed quickly. During lunch, Xia Ying told Tanguo and Yeziaksun about the incident. Tanguo and Yeziaksun also expressed disbelief. Hey, what do you think Su Ji is like? She is really weird. Yeziaksun muttered. Indeed, Tanguo took a sip of milk and continued, it seems that she is from Miskinjin, but judging from what Xia Ying just said, she definitely did not grow up pampered. Su Ji doesn't seem to have many friends, he always keeps to himself. Perhaps everyone's lifestyle is different. Xia Ying said this and glanced sideways at Su Ji, who was eating silently not far away. Su Ji has exquisite facial features, a high nose bridge, and very soft and beautiful lines from the side. When eating, she didn't have any unnecessary expressions or demeanor, and ate calmly. Xia Ying turned away and continued eating. Ah dash. Not long after, a scream echoed through the entire canteen. Everyone in the canteen was attracted to the source of the sound and turned to look over. Su Ji was still eating indifferently, and on the ground beside her, a boy was covering his arm in pain, screaming miserably. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 673. Chapter 673. His bones were broken with bare hands. Hey, are you going too far? At this time, several boys came over. One boy helped up the boy who was wailing on the ground. The others were angrily arguing with Su Ji. The boy's arm seemed to be dislocated. After being helped up, the arm did not move much. Big beads of sweat broke out on the boy's face due to the severe pain, and his expression became a little ferocious and distorted. Su Ji ate the food in front of him unhurriedly, ignoring the boys in front of him who came to seek justice. He just confessed to you. If you don't like it, just refuse. There is no need to hurt him. A man couldn't get any more angry and continued. Suji raised her eyes slightly, met the boy's gaze, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. She obviously has a most beautiful face, but her smile at this moment makes people feel a little scared. He touched me. Suji opened his mouth and said word by word. What? The boy didn't understand what Suji said. His hand touched me. Suji continued. The boy then understood that the reason why Suji dislocated the boy's arm was just because Suji was eating quietly during the confession. The boy carefully patted her shoulder, trying to attract her attention, and then said to her, "Hello, classmate, I have something to tell you." It was because his hand touched her that Suji heard him like that without saying a word. The boy had been sent to the campus hospital with the help of kind people, but when he looked back, he still reluctantly glanced in Suji's direction. It turns out that she doesn't just look like an unattainable flower on the mountain. Her whole person was like this, so dangerously beautiful that she couldn't be touched. Once touched, it will be shattered into pieces. Others thought the boy had just dislocated his arm, but when he arrived at the school hospital, after examination, it was discovered that the bone was cracked. That's right, Suji's bare hands broke his bones. When the boys saw the test results, they were stunned. How dangerous is that girl? Oh, do you think that you are great just because you are beautiful? Are you Avalokitesvara or Tathagata Buddha? You can't even touch it? The boys watching felt incredible. The students at Taito University are generally of high quality, so many people have a critical attitude towards Suzhigang's behavior. That boy didn't do anything out of line. He even behaved politely. Even though he was hurt by Suji, he never said a word against her from beginning to end. Suji's treatment of him was indeed too much. If you don't believe it, you can try it. Suji said in a cold voice. At first, the boy was inspired by Suji's words and thought of giving it a try. However, when his hand was still some distance away from Suji, his eyes met Suji's bloodthirsty eyes. Those eyes seemed to be burning fire from the depths of hell, wiping away the boy's remaining stubbornness and unwillingness to admit defeat. He felt flustered and uneasy for a moment, even fearful. He always felt that the girl in front of him was like a demon in hell, as if she would pounce on him and swallow him whole in the next second. The boy withdrew his hand, his expression darkened, and his lips trembled slightly. You have to learn to respect others. The boy still had some self-respect left for himself, educated Suze Hideo, and then turned around and left. The moment he turned around, the boy realized that he was so frightened that his legs went weak. He was so frightened by a girl's look that his legs weakened. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 674. Chapter 674, I won't abandon you when I'm at the bottom. Facing the pointing fingers and strange looks from around him, Suji dealt with it indifferently from beginning to end, without the slightest touch on his face. He quietly ate all the food on his plate and left. Xia Ying has been watching Suji silently. Suji noticed Xia Ying's gaze and glanced at Xia Ying silently when she left. Very bland eyes, no emotion visible. Oh my god, Suji-senpai is so fierce and cool. Tanguo's jaw was shocked by Suji after witnessing everything. She's so awesome. Yeziok-sun also praised it sincerely. Xia Ying pursed her lips and did not answer. After dinner, Xia Ying and the others returned to the dormitory to prepare for a lunch break. Suji was on her bed, with a thick black bed curtain separating her from everyone else. As expected, Xia Ying received an invitation from the director team of the Great Doctor. Xia Ying couldn't bear Yeziok-sun's plea and accepted. The original male lead in the movie version was Jun Cheniai, but it looks like the male lead is about to be replaced. Since Jun Cheniai's accident, his fans have gone crazy. Every day, I search for him on the internet to increase his popularity, expressing my love for my idol in various ways. During this period of time, people were still talking about Feng Zhuili and stopped watching it if it wasn't Jun Cheniai's performance, which made the production team very embarrassed. Jun Cheniai's fame really cannot be denied, since he has always been considered the best actor to play the male protagonist Feng Zhuili. So if he can't star, the person who replaces him will be under a lot of pressure, and it's bound to be criticized and compared. And looking at the entire entertainment industry today, there are almost no people who can compete with Jun Cheniai. Therefore, the selection of the male lead is now stuck. It would be good if Jun Cheniai could recover, and the producers could afford to wait, but the most critical issue at the moment is that Jun Cheniai has been rumored to have been disfigured, which means that his future acting career may be cut off. Netizens don't know what the real situation of Jun Cheniai is, because the information on the internet is blocked, and everyone only makes guesses based on the descriptions of eyewitnesses. No photos of Jun Cheniai's injuries have been circulated, but anyone can imagine that if there was really nothing serious about Jun Cheniai, he would have already issued a statement to refute the rumors on the internet. But since Jun Cheniai's accident, their company has not mentioned this matter. Obviously, the situation is not optimistic. Jun Cheniai's fans are worried that Jun Cheniai will quit the entertainment industry every day. They cheer Jun Cheniai's Weibo and various social accounts every day, hoping that Jun Cheniai will see it. He also said some touching words of support, such as "I won't come to you when you are at your peak, and I won't abandon you when you are at your lowest." They were already prepared for Jun Cheniai to be disfigured, but even so, they still claimed that they would support Jun Cheniai to the end. Xia Ying didn't know how determined these fans were. After all, they had not seen Jun Cheniai's current real situation. If they knew that Jun Cheniai was so disfigured that they couldn't bear to look at him, he would no longer be the handsome and prosperous young master in the imperial capital, Jun Cheniai. Xia Ying felt that according to the cruel reality of the entertainment industry, Jun Cheniai would soon be driven out by many talented and beautiful new generation idols. The entertainment industry is inherently utilitarian, with not much warmth to speak of. What's more, he was an idol who suffered such a fatal blow. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 675. Chapter 675, Every gain must come with a loss. Sakura. Xia Ying was thinking deeply about something when suddenly Ye Xiaoxun beside her weakly called her name. "Well, what's wrong?" Xia Ying turned her head and looked at Ye Xiaoxun. Ye Xiaoxun looked troubled, his eyebrows furrowed. Ye Xiaoxun picked up the phone and handed it to Xia Ying. Xia Ying took it and saw a QQ message from Fan Zian on the screen. Ye Xiaoxun's large account belongs to Fan Zian. Before, when he pretended to be strangers and chatted with netizens, he always used the small account. "Actually, I have always wanted to say sorry to you, and it is only now that I know that the person I have been chatting with is you. But it seems a little late to say this now. Anyway, thank you. You are a great girl, and I hope you can meet a great boy in the future." Fan Zian's words made it clear that he knew that Ye Xiaoxun was the person he had chatted with before. But if you don't like it, you just don't like it? Perhaps Fan Zian hadn't recovered from Yun Huan's blow, but out of politeness, he still explained it to Ye Xiaoxun. All the novels written by Yun Shenzhen have long been removed from the shelves, and the TV series and various copyrights have also been lost. What awaits her are various legal summons and liquidated damages in various contracts. Yun Huan deserves it and does not deserve sympathy at all. Ye Xiaoxun also completely cut off contact with her, and now things about her have completely faded out of Ye Xiaoxun's world. Xia Ying stood up, walked to Ye Xiaoxun, hugged Ye Xiaoxun's head, let her lean into her arms, and comforted her. Ye Xiaoxun is a smart man, so he naturally understood the meaning of Fan's words. "I wish her to find a good boy." On the other hand, even though he knew that Ye Xiaoxun liked her, he still declined. Ye Xiaoxun's best friend since childhood broke up, and the person he really liked for the first time was completely gone. Xia Ying knew that Ye Xiaoxun must be feeling very uncomfortable at the moment. Actually, this is life, there are not so many satisfactory things at all. There are gains and there are losses. Ye Xiaoxun has achieved many achievements that are envied by his peers, but he has also lost a lot of worldly happiness. Xia Ying knows how much she likes Fan Ziyan, so much so that the photo of Fan Ziyan's favorite team is displayed on the desktop of her mobile phone. She still plays Fan Ziyan's favorite games online from time to time, looking forward to one day being able to match Fan Ziyan. But Ye Xiaoxun's love was humble and cautious. She only liked it silently, but never dared to take the initiative to fight for something. In the end, it all came to nothing. Fan Ziyan has become a beautiful yet painful thorn in Ye Xiaoxun's teenage years. What's wrong? Tang Guo'er was shopping on Doubao, looking at some nice Lolita skirts, when she looked up and saw the actions of Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun. Xia Ying was comforting Ye Xiaoxun, who looked very uncomfortable. Tang Guo'er came closer and asked Xia Ying in a low voice, "What's wrong with Xiaoxun?" Xia Ying didn't answer, she just put her index finger in front of her lips, making a silent gesture. Tang Guo'er immediately understood and stopped asking. Tang Guo'er sat quietly aside, as if she was infected by Ye Xiaoxun's depressed mood, and could no longer look into even the most beautiful little skirt. Just looking at Ye Xiaoxun's back silently, he felt sad for no reason. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 676. Chapter 676 Jun Chenai lost his memory. Xia Ying happened to be during a break in military training when she received a call from Yu Lingfeng. Jun Chenai woke up, but the strange thing was that he couldn't remember anything. In other words, he had amnesia. Jun Chenai's situation frightened his father and mother. Originally, they thought that as long as Jun Chenai was still alive, the Jun family, old and young, would never even think about being Jun Chenai's successor. But now, Jun Chenai woke up after passing the dangerous period, but lost his memory dramatically. He knew no one and remembered nothing. He has forgotten even who he is. His mind is now as clean as a blank sheet of paper. Yu Lingfeng asked Xia Ying if she wanted to see him. Xia Ying naturally nodded and said she wanted to go. So, Xia Ying held her stomach and made a sign of pain. She walked to the instructor and said that she had a stomachache and felt very uncomfortable and wanted to ask for leave. Xia Ying's acting skills were superb and she successfully deceived the instructor into letting her stop training and rest. Originally, many kind-hearted classmates offered to send Xia Ying to the campus hospital, but Xia Ying declined, saying that she could go by herself. So, Xia Ying silently walked towards the school hospital alone. In the crowd, Su Ji turned around indifferently and looked at Xia Ying's figure walking further and further away, with a strange emotion flashing in his eyes. Xia Ying walked to a place where no one was around, and at that moment, Yu Lingfeng appeared soon after. Xia Ying saw Yu Lingfeng and ran towards him quickly. "If we go there now, will it make them suspicious?" Xia Ying raised her head and asked Yu Lingfeng. On the day that Jun Chenai's accident happened, Xia Ying's sudden appearance made them a little suspicious. Xia Ying casually found an excuse that day to excuse her. Of course, the key point at that time was not why she suddenly appeared, but Jun Chenai, so they didn't dwell too much on it. But now that Jun Chenai had just woken up, Xia Ying rushed over from China quickly, so they would inevitably become suspicious. "He woke up yesterday," Yu Lingfeng explained, meaning that it doesn't matter now or in the past. Yesterday Rong Ci called Yu Lingfeng and informed Jun Chenai of his situation. Of course, Rong Ci didn't just tell Yu Lingfeng about Jun Chenai's current situation. Rong Ci made it clear that he hoped Yu Lingfeng could help Rong Ci. Rong Ci said, Yu Lingfeng, I know you are not an ordinary person. If possible, I hope you can help Chen Yi. If I have the opportunity in the future, I will definitely repay you. Yu Lingfeng didn't know why Rong Ci had always regarded him as a superhuman, although he was indeed not an ordinary person. Maybe he really shouldn't doubt the professionalism of Rong Ci, a top hacker who has been trained as a professional agent since he was a child. But what does he investigate about him? Moreover, Rong Ci had obviously been investigating him for many years. The only reasons that Yu Lingfeng could think of were the kindergarten fire case and Mr. R. It's just that he still doesn't understand why Rong Ci cares so much about these two things. He was neither a party to the fire case nor a fan of Mr. R, so why did he do all this? I can't help. Yu Lingfeng naturally lied. Before Rong Ci knew whether he was an enemy or a friend, Yu Lingfeng would not reveal his trump card so easily. Yu Lingfeng didn't know to what extent Rong Ci's understanding of his superpowers had reached. In short, he could hide a little bit. Rong Ci was silent for a long time before continuing, Yu Lingfeng, you don't have to lie to me, I know you can do it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 677. Chapter 677 The Hidden Master. Yu Lingfeng frowned, what do you mean? Rong Ci's breathing was a little loud, and Yu Lingfeng heard it clearly through the receiver of his mobile phone. What does he know? Where did you know this? I know you can help Chenai, please, help him. Rong Ci avoided Yu Lingfeng's question, this is not difficult for you, but for Chenai, it is his life. Yu Lingfeng looked into the distance with indifferent eyes, thought for a while, and then said, I can help him, but you must tell me, how do you know this? The other end of the phone was silent for a long time and then hung up. Yu Lingfeng was confused by Rong Ci, and then this guy actually hung up the phone on him. And until now, Rong Ci has not called again. Yu Lingfeng's face was very solemn at the moment. The inexplicable conversation he had with Rong Ci yesterday had been lingering in his mind for a long time. What exactly is Rong Ci doing? He has been following him and investigating him since he appeared. What on earth does he want to do? Yu Lingfeng couldn't understand, and his face darkened a little. Xia Ying on the side obviously saw something was wrong with Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying held Yu Lingfeng's hand a little harder and asked, Yu Lingfeng, what's wrong with you? There are some things that I can't figure out, and I'm a little annoyed. Yu Lingfeng didn't hide anything, he said it bluntly. What's the matter? As soon as Xia Ying finished speaking, Yu Lingfeng suddenly became excited, turned around, looked at the jungle diagonally behind, and asked sharply, who is there? Xia Ying looked over again, but there was no movement at all in the jungle. Yu Lingfeng stepped forward, followed closely by Xia Ying. However, when Yu Lingfeng pushed through the jungle, he found nothing. However, Yu Lingfeng was 100% sure that there was someone hiding there just now. Since he can disappear under his nose, he seems to be a master among masters. Shadow Hunter? Yu Lingfeng thought of this immediately, and he is definitely a top shadow hunter. Sure enough, Xia Ying has been targeted. Yu Lingfeng narrowed his eyes and glanced sideways at the bell on Xia Ying's wrist. Strangely, Xia Ying's goo insect bell that she said would ring when in danger did not ring just now. Xia Ying noticed that Yu Lingfeng's eyes were on her goo insect bracelet, so she also looked over and asked, what's wrong? Is your goo insect bracelet always accurate? Yu Lingfeng asked. What's the meaning? It will definitely ring when there is danger. Yu Lingfeng added. Xia Ying nodded firmly. How accurate is the goo insect bracelet? Even if mosquitoes try to bite her sometimes, they will make a sound. That's strange. Yu Lingfeng said as if talking to himself. If there is really an aggressive shadow hunter, then the goo insect bracelet will definitely ring. If not, who will it be? Is there anyone in the grass just now? Xia Ying asked. Yes, but as soon as I passed by, he disappeared. Yu Lingfeng's 5 senses are all very strong, so he is more vigilant and cautious than ordinary people. Is it possible that there are any hidden masters in your imperial university? Yu Lingfeng's words completely stimulated Xia Ying's thoughts. Xia Ying's pupils dilated, as if she thought of something. She froze, looked up at Yu Lingfeng, and said firmly, "It's true." Yu Lingfeng's eyes flashed with light for a moment. Who? Thank you to the little cuties. Cover your eyes to hide your tears, Yuzi, never forget your original intention, and Pokyamira for your rewards. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 678. Chapter 678. Does he still remember Xia Ying? One of my roommates broke a boy's bones with her bare hands a few days ago. This incident was widely spread in our school some time ago, Xia Ying said. Furthermore, since then, all the boys who had a crush on Suji have become intimidated and have no courage to confess to them at all. Roommate, girl. Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows, thinking about something. Well, she has always been alone, a very strange person. Xia Ying added. It's quite strange. No matter how strong a person is, it is impossible to break someone else's bones with his bare hands. Fractures are more believable. Moreover, the other party is a girl, with a broken bone, and a boy. Take me to meet her next time. Although she is my roommate, our relationship is very strange, Xia Ying said. Tanguo is such a cute girl. She calls her senior sister every day, but she always ignores them. What's more, people like Xia Ying are unwilling to take the initiative. Of course, Tanguo no longer takes the initiative to strike up a conversation because Suji is too cold. What's her name? Suji. Good. As Yu Lingfeng spoke, he took out his cell phone and sent a message to Zihu, asking him to investigate this girl named Suji. After arriving at the hospital, Xia Ying opened the door to the ward. On the bed, Jun Chenai, whose face was lifeless and whose eyes were empty, stared at Xia Ying closely for a long time. Until Xia Ying approached him, Jun Chenai's eyes also stayed on her body. There was a glimmer of hope in everyone's eyes and they became excited. Looking at Jun Chenai's appearance, does he still remember Xia Ying? Otherwise, why had Xia Ying been staring at her since she walked in? Xia Ying opened her mouth tentatively and asked Jun Chenai, "Jun Chenai, do you still remember who I am?" Jun Chenai's originally bright eyes dimmed, he frowned and moved his head like a rattle. "I don't know." The hopes that everyone had just raised were immediately extinguished by this "I don't know." "Then why do you keep looking at me?" Xia Ying frowned in confusion. Jun Chenai suddenly grinned, revealing his jade-white teeth, and said, "Because you are good looking." Everyone. This reason seems to be really irrefutable. Then who are you? Jun Chenai stared at Xia Ying again and asked, "Are you my sister?" "No." Xia Ying shook her head, looked at Jun Chenai's clear and clean pupils exposed on his head wrapped in gauze, and replied, "We are good friends, and we were classmates for 3 years in high school." "Are you really? Don't you remember it at all?" Jun Chenai shook his head with innocent eyes. "What did the doctor say?" Xia Ying looked at Rong Ci and asked. "The doctor said that the nerves in the brain were probably injured, which caused the amnesia, but whether it is permanent or temporary, it's hard to say." Rong Ci sighed. "Jun Chenai is carefree now, he doesn't remember anything and doesn't have to worry about anything. In his 19 years of life, this was the first time he had such a worry-free day." Rong Ci didn't know whether it was a good or bad thing for Jun Chenai to lose his memory at this juncture. If he stayed like this, the Jun family would be in chaos, and a dispute over inheritance rights would be inevitable. At the same time, Jun Chennai can be spared from this storm. His life can start over, and he no longer has to worry about the day he will be killed by the person he is closest to. However, for Jun's parents, Jun Chennai's current situation is a heavy blow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 679. Chapter 679. Am I disfigured? Jun's parents spent a lot of effort to train Jun Chennai, but now that Jun Chennai can inherit the family business after graduating from university, something like this happened. Suddenly, all their efforts and hopes were in vain. The son they had cultivated for so long and who was so excellent suddenly became a blank slate and had to start their life over again, which made them heartbroken. And now, he can't even remember Xia Ying, the girl Jun Chennai has liked for so long. The last glimmer of hope for Jun's parents was gone. Thinking of this, Jun Mu walked to the windowsill alone and wiped her tears silently. Jun's father also kept sighing, feeling helpless. Jun Chennai now knows that he had an accident and lost his memory, but judging from his mental state, he seems to be in good condition. He didn't seem overwhelmed because of amnesia, saying that he wanted to retrieve his memory. He lived a very calm life, but sometimes he would say a few words aggrievedly that it would hurt if he moved his body. I can't even express much on my face, it's very painful. Jun Chennai looked at the TV in front of him that was not turned on, and looked at his face and body through the grey TV pages. His eyes darkened a bit, and he asked, "Am I disfigured?" Compared with what Jun Chennai said before, this sentence seemed much more desolate and helpless. The tone of voice was also slightly trembling, and everyone who heard it couldn't help but feel a little heartbroken. Rong Ci lowered his head and responded, "Yeah." Jun Chennai lowered his eyes and said nothing more. Jun Chennai took out his mobile phone and looked at the appearance of the handsome young man in his photo album. Those dark and jade-like eyebrows, every frown and every smile were extremely handsome. It turned out that he was so good-looking in the past. So now, is he covered in ugly and scary scars? Should he remove the gauze? If he goes out on the street, he will scare the children and be regarded as a weirdo? Rong Ci approached Jun Chennai, reached out and patted his shoulder, comforting him in a weak voice, "It will be fine. I will try my best to make you better." When Rong Ci said this, he raised his head and glanced at Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng could clearly see the meaning in his eyes. Then, Rong Ci walked up to Yu Lingfeng and said to him, "I have something to tell you." Yu Lingfeng naturally knew what Rong Ci was referring to, so he went out with him. The two of them arrived at a secret place, and Yu Lingfeng was the first to speak. "What I said yesterday is still valid." Yu Lingfeng's intention was very clear. As long as Rong Ci confessed to him how he investigated his affairs and why he persisted in investigating him, he could help Jun Chennai. After all, to him, it was just a matter of a few drops of blood. Rong Ci raised his eyes and looked at Yu Lingfeng solemnly. "I have always suspected that your father was responsible for the fire in the kindergarten." "I know. Rong Ci and Jun Chennai have questioned him more than once about this matter." "And you still suspect that Mr. R was killed by me or hidden by me?" Yu Lingfeng added, with an unusually calm tone and an expression without any fluctuations, as if what he was describing was not himself, but another unrelated person. "So, you admitted it indirectly?" Yu Lingfeng looked coldly. "How did you hear that I admitted it?" "I have evidence, Yu Lingfeng." Rong Ci added without a doubt, as if he wanted to directly ask Yu Lingfeng to confess and be lenient, but not to be strict. "Come on, all the cuties who are taking the college entrance examination, I wish you the best in the gold list." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 680. Chapter 680 is just your own subjective conjecture. So, this is why you've been following me for so many years. The faint smile on Yu Lingfeng's face made Rong Si very unpredictable. If you are innocent, prove it to me. Rong Si looked determined, otherwise, once I have enough evidence, I will send you to prison. Let me guess. Yu Lingfeng lowered his eyes and played with the watch on his wrist. Did you suspect that someone from the Jun family was responsible for the fire in the kindergarten? Then you thought that I was working with the Jun family. Will those people working together be harmful to Jun Chennai? Rong Si's eyes flickered, obviously because Yu Lingfeng was spying on her thoughts. Yu Lingfeng sneered disdainfully, if I really wanted to attack Jun Chennai, he wouldn't be alive now. It's not difficult for you to understand this truth. I know. Rong Si clenched his fists and leaned back. Looking at the monster-like young man in front of him with a complicated expression, Rong Si had been following and investigating him for so many years, but he had made no progress whether it was his father or his information. It is impossible for a person to live for so many years without leaving any traces. These two father and son were too suspicious, and Rong Si had to be wary of them. Moreover, there is another point that Rong Si has never been able to guess. Yu Lingfeng's father is not dead, at least Rong Si has not found where or how he died. In other words, he is probably still alive. But where is he and what is he doing? So the things in your mind are just your own subjective assumptions. The so-called evidence is not necessarily like this. Yu Lingfeng said and stood up. First, I don't work for anyone. Second, Mr. R's matter is not as simple as you think. Finally, I will save Jun Chennai. As for what you said about sending me to prison, you should save some time and think about how to protect Jun Chennai. There are many more dangers he will encounter in the future. Yu Lingfeng was about to turn around and leave after finishing speaking. Rong Si was momentarily confused by Yu Lingfeng's informative words just now. After reacting for 2 seconds, he stopped Yu Lingfeng. Wait, don't leave yet. Yu Lingfeng paused and looked sideways at Rong Si indifferently. Is there anything else? Do you know something? Rong Si said with a frown. How did Yu Lingfeng know that Jun Chennai would encounter many dangers in the future, and what he just said about Mr. R was not that simple? What's going on? What if he didn't know some ulterior secrets? Rong Si has been bypassed by him. I just know a little more than you do. Yu Lingfeng said coldly, because unlike some people, I have spent all my time in these years with someone who has nothing to do with me. Rong Si trembled in his heart. In other words, he had always suspected Yu Lingfeng and his son before. In fact, they were all wrong? Was he just deceived by illusions and blinded by facts? What do you know, can you tell me? You don't need to understand some things that have nothing to do with you. Your most critical issue right now is how to protect Jun Chennai. After Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, he left directly. Rong Si immediately collapsed on the spot. All the efforts he had made over the years were completely negated by Yu Lingfeng's few words. But, is it really what Yu Lingfeng said? But why such a coincidence? Why does everything just point to him? End of this chapter.